Hey, welcome back to American Truck Simulator. It's Thursday. Today we're running a quick job for my realistic profile. This, if you have watched the channel and if you remember, this is the profile where I bought a 4x2 Volvo. And I've since given that to one of my drivers, or hired a driver, and I'm running quick jobs. But first things first, let's go ahead and get this Western Star fired up. In fact, let's get some lights on. Let's jump in the cabin. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna just adjust a couple of settings in the truck. So if you are new to American Truck Simulator, or if you've never played it, one of the cool things about the game is that you get to configure the truck how you want it. And what I mean there is, well, in all levels. So not only do you get to choose the truck, I mean, eventually you have enough money you can buy it, but you also get to do things like adjust the seat. Now, there's not going to be a high joke here, but if you have a preference, if you tend to sit higher or lower, you can adjust things to suit how you sit. In this case, I want to see my mirror and I want to see my instruments. So I've adjusted the seat and the wheel at position how I want it. What I'm going to do is, can I adjust those mirrors? I like to have my small left mirror to be down and left a little bit more. Give me a nice wide angle. That's great when I'm merging onto a freeway or onto a road. And the same with the right one. And also, if I were to try the difficult parking, which may not happen, then it makes my life easier too. So let's go ahead and just make the side mirrors a little wider. Now, it's useful to see your cargo in those mirrors, because if it's missing, you'll see it or not see it. That's always handy to have. Okay. I'll put the parking brake on. Are we running? Okay, we're actually in gear. Oh, my controls all messed up. That's not good. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. I really want to go and reset my no. Let's keep it running. Yeah, let's see if I can keep it running, because as I don't like the stock controls with the game. So, input wizard controls, real automatic, finish wizard. That was easy. Is that all there was to it? Let's just check that that's... Yeah, that seems to be it. Okay. Right. Well, in that case, I think... Let's just make sure... Yep, I've got my preference. So the stock controller, for instance, setup, you can tap left.
You'll watch
on there.
Change.
I guess it's I'm not sure what it's called. It's not a D-pad like the four-way controls. Tap left and it'll change the light mode. But I have tap left, flicks it between main beam and not. So and that's a simple change. It's a smart-looking truck. And it's white. And white's not really my color, but it's a smart-looking truck. And this seems to be, I think it's a vocational setup. Let's double check that.
Let me make sure that
check the numbers again.
Let's take a look at the numbers here. Frame time
is kind of the sort of pre-trip. Okay,
30,
all right. So it's got
milliseconds,
nearly 600,000 miles.
It's taking 50 milliseconds.
So 410 horsepower, 40-50 foot panel torque. So that's going to be a DD13.
Let's switch to external.
200 gallon tank. That's useful. And a
DT12
DB.
Encouraging.
I believe that is a direct drive.
Now it will lag a little bit
3.08
with this
final drive.
With the internals.
The shorter
that's not good. Anyway,
transmission settings in the game, if I'm right, and I may be completely wrong. Well, you know what? I haven't got all day. Let's go ahead and
why are you still doing
get this thing out of here. Let's check. I've got my mirrors are fine.
Okay, so this is one of the issues.
My windows are opening fine, so that controls
map
successfully.
A glitch with
so today's trip. Let's take a look. We're
off
to Kalispell. Oh, I know this route.
It will, but I can't really see them.
All right. Let me just go ahead and just show you the map, because this is kind of cool. So we're in Coeur d'Alene, Sacre Bleu. We speak French at the moment. My French is not very good. Please don't try to emulate. So we head north up to Sandpoint. Interesting little road. This is quite amusing. Sandpoint, we kind of... Do we take the bypass, or do we... I don't remember if there's a bypass through it, but whatevs. You know, a bit of lingo there. And it'll be dark by the time I get here. This is very close to Canada, A. So, cross into the next state. Is it no, not Montoya. What's this state here? I should know it. MT. Dang. It's escaped, but either way, drop into the border here. We're in Idaho right now. Into the border here, and then we head south along this lovely twisty road into Kalispell, and it's just south. So it's 200 miles. It says it's 4 hours. I think we've got like 8 hours to do it in. Yeah, 8 hours. So we've got plenty of time. But it's going to be dark, and that might change things a little bit. We'll find out. So why am I using the realistic profile? Well, it's been a while since I've driven this profile, and if you follow the channel and listen to my whining, I've had a few performance issues with the game. It's not been running at all well. Right now my frame rate is sitting at 59. You can see at the very top left it's kind of subtle. It's the Steam overlay. Let's go ahead and close those windows. But it was getting really janky. It was going down into the 30s and it wasn't fun, and there was a bit of jank there. Excuse me, I've been playing around with more settings than you can throw a setting at. And we're just going to see if this setup is smoother. We're also using a very nearly stock profile. I think the only mod I've allowed is, I might be wrong here, but I think it's just the Steel Productions engine pack. Shameless plug, and they'll put a link in that in the description below. I don't think we're using many mods today. And that's partly because if a mod's causing a performance issue, I want to not use it. Okay. We're using the truck in automated mode today. The D2.8 diesel, the DT12s are an automated box. You do have a manual override if you need it. This engine is part of the Steel Productions engine pack, so it's got my own custom torque curve and my own custom shift points. And I worked very hard to get the engines to feel more real, shall we say. I'll not hunt around between the gears at certain speeds. So that didn't look, yeah, okay. My cruise control is not mapped as I prefer it. The arrow keys on the keyboard's how I usually use my cruise. It's not doing it right now. Well, I'm not going to try and fix that. It just means that when I tell it to lose speed, it's going to cancel cruise because it's using a brake, and I don't want to do that. But I would say this really is a 3.08 final drive. 1400 revs at 55, that feels about right. So I'm guessing that this truck was or is vocational in nature. It's going to be hauling up and down hills, hauling logs, all that kind of jazz. So I'm supposing it's been pressed into service pulling cars today. That seems a little strange, but okay. Hey, it's not my truck, so I'm just paid to drive it from point A to point B and get an Uber or a hotel or whatever to the next job. So a little compromised in the controls, but it should be perfectly drivable. Yeah. And I have not spent long in the Western Star. It's an enjoyable truck. I like it. I just haven't devoted time to it. So maybe I fix that in this profile by buying a Western Star once I have enough money. And I don't have enough right now, that's for sure. Let's train on the right. Frame rate's a lot happier. Oh. Let's use a bit of engine brake, get the speed down. Yeah, I know, Doug. Always at least one more. Yep, coming in a sand point on the outskirts. Yeah, we've covered a reasonable distance so far. I don't think there's any complaints, but it has been an hour of game time since we started this drive, pretty much. So how has everyone been? Can you believe it's almost March? Today is February the 29th, at least the day I'm going to publish this video, not the day when I'm recording it, so the usual disclaimers apply, but February the 29th, and this is a day traditionally in the UK is when the lady may ask the gentleman to marry her. Just that one day. I think it's also the day when unicorns are born, and when EA Star Wars games don't have that horrible grind, pay to win stuff. Wow. Well, this is a pretty uneventful trip so far. Not having the realistic traffic mode is kind of killing me because that makes the game way more interesting. And if you look at my mirror, you see a really bad pop out. So stuff just disappears from view. I've got the quality and the distance not as I would prefer, but the game is just suffering on the performance side of things. Use a bit of engine brake, very quiet engine brake in the DD13. Yeah, it doesn't like that. It was sort of hunting around the gears, but such a short set of ratios, we kind of expect that. And it's not a particularly heavy cargo either. So let's see. Playing around with settings, removing and adding a whole bunch of settings to the graphics. I'm not entirely happy with what I've got right now. If I zoom in, it doesn't look as good as it has done. And if you're unfamiliar with the story, here's what happened. So one Thursday evening, I was happily playing along in the game and enjoying it and having a great time. I'm going to see if I can pull in front of this truck next to me. I'm going to break the speed limit here. Anyway, Friday morning happens. I get up nice and early. I think, oh, I've got time for a quick drive. And there was an NVIDIA graphics update, a driver update, I should say. Just tapped down on my speed. So I performed that, went off to go do something else, came back and my machine was restarting. Well, sometimes a driver update needs a restart, and I was completely happy with that. But with hindsight, I think it crashed. I think something happened to the driver or to Windows that it didn't like. Or maybe I have whoa, steering, David. Maybe I have faulty hardware. I don't know. And the game wasn't the same afterwards.
Do you even listen to me?
It was performing terribly. Like go from a very smooth 60 frames a second to anywhere from 9 to 35. And it was janky as. That was nearly a week ago. And in that time I have DDU'd, that's device driver uninstalled, and reinstalled, fresh reinstalled a whole bunch of drivers. I've updated a whole bunch of stuff. I've fixed an error with Windows Update that caused a bit of a nasty problem with the machine. I reinstalled Windows 10. I didn't fix it. Decided fine. Huffed and puffed and had installed a clean installation of Windows 11. And the only games that are impacted by this performance issue are the two SCS titles. ETS2, Euro Truck Simulator 2, and ATS, or American Truck Simulator. Everything else seems to be performing just fine. So what is going on? I don't know. But more configuration changes than you can shake a cup of coffee at, which is not many because you'll spill it. And I'm at the point now where it's better, but my graphics aren't as pretty as they were. And I mean, right now I'm getting 58 frames a second. That's great and all, but my graphics card's not working hard. Not working hard at all. And my CPU appears to be pegged with one core nearly fully loaded. So something's not right, but it's fresh operating system. Could it be my profile? Well, it may be, and that's one of the reasons why I'm trying this profile, but the fact that my performance is just as messed up, or could be just as messed up, I don't think it's the profile, so I don't know. Was there a sneaky update that SCS did? Did they nerf something with my particular blend of hardware? Am I whining because I noticed something I never noticed before? I do not know. If you have an opinion, put it in the comments below. I'm happy to know what it is. There we go.
Go straight.
Now, I set my cruise at 60, and this is 1600 revs, I think, give or take. At 60, that seems a little revving the engine a little high. The DD13 produces its peak torque at just 975 RPM, so you can, you know, lug this thing down to 1,000. It will still pull just great. We have 1450 foot-pounds of torque available on tap today, but with this short gearing and this light cargo, I'm not going to say you don't feel the cargo, but its performance is solid. Actually, let's get on the engine brake. Let's get on the service brake. I don't want to crash. Yeah, that was a little imprudent sort of speed I tackled that corner at. Yeah, the truck's a little sensitive, but that's probably me. I wonder if my controller needs to be desensitized about the halfway point. So it's real smooth up to halfway, and then it just seems to, like, you yank on the steering wheel, and that's not what I'm trying to. That's not what I'm doing when I drive. I'm trying to be smooth. So I guess 65 is going to be close to 1700 revs. That's, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not where we necessarily need to run the DD13, although maybe if we were heavy hauling with this, if we're hauling 60,000 pounds worth of logs halfway up a mountain or down a mountain, we might want the extra short gearing there. Let's get back on my engine brake. Troy. Okay. We're about halfway through away. Oh wow, no we're not. We've made great progress. I've been blathering away for that amount of time. Didn't realise how decent a job we were doing of the trip, so okay. An hour and a half left, I think it said. This is just coming up to, yeah, it's just reached 11 PM. I'm in 11th gear at 35, that's super short gearing. I imagine this level gearing with the DD16, that's the, I think it's 15.6 litre, or maybe 15.8 litre. It's the Detroit diesel heavy haul engine. That would be pretty capable. I don't have the money to buy my own truck right now, but I'm maybe thinking a Western Star might be on the cards. Let's take a sip of coffee. That was more of a gulp. Right, I've got my cruise at 65. We're going to hunker up this hill, and we're flying up it. Well, maybe not quite flying. We're not quite a fart in a bathtub, but we're doing all right. Yeah, 65, and I think we're still climbing. And it's 1700 revs, so yeah, it's the DD13. It can happily run slower RPM than this, and you can happily use a much taller 12-speed gearbox. But yeah, it's perfectly fine. I suppose the V in the gearbox name stands for vocational, so that would make sense. So my trip mileage is showing 7 miles per gallon so far. On the one hand, that is maybe a little disappointing because it's a fairly small engine. It's a 13-litre class and it's a light cargo. But on the other hand, we're asking it to do lots of revs, and we're not frightened of cruising along at the speed limit, even if that means 1700 revs. And 7 miles per gallon, I mean, from a semi is probably not from one that's not deliberately aeroed up to the max, which this thing is not. It's got air horns, see? They're pretty loud. Let's jump back in the cabin. That's very dangerous to do that. So it's not like it has the full skirt package, the super tall gearing, you know, everything's smooth and fed off, you know, low rolling resistance tires. It looks like it's on the Dynamics. I think I saw there the basic tires. They're like round donuts. There's nothing special about them. So in that context, I would say 7, but 6.8 to the gallon is reasonable. And I'm not unhappy. There's the moon. I'm not unhappy with that. Let's get on the service brake though. I should be able to out-drag these vehicles from the light as well. Let's move into the left lane. I mean, maybe I can. I'd have to be pretty hard on the pedals. Here's the thing. Having fairly short gearing does make the truck pleasant to drive. It feels punchy, it feels pokey, it's not frightened of hills. Yeah, I'm giving it lots of power, and look, it's wanting to go through a lot of the gears one by one. It's because I've told it to short shift. Let's manual override here for a second. Oh wow, its governor's at like 1800 revs, I forgot about that. Okay, so that tells me that basically it's not a racing machine. Like, I didn't know that, but bear with me. What I mean there is, it's not like you can drop it into the next gear, put it at 1100 revs, and keep it in that gear till 2100 RPM. You're not able to do that. You've got to change up at the 16-ish, 100, 1700, 1800 point. And I'm in the wrong lane. Oh, I'm way in the wrong lane here, and I can't get in there. Okay, maybe I can. Maybe I can, like, sneak through here.
Go straight.
He's turning off, thank goodness. Okay, do not cross lanes going over an intersection in the US, but I was kind of after it, maybe. Also, don't use your engine brake in the city, and don't use it at midnight 30 in the morning. But we didn't get a ticket, so it's all good. But there is something you can do in America, and that is turn right on a red. You must come to a stop. Pay attention to all you Texas drivers. You're supposed to stop at a red light. Not everyone does. But meanwhile, we're almost at our destination. So let me see. It looks like I've got to turn left up here, but let me check. Oh, it doesn't really help. Okay. It looks like I'm turning left, but I'll save it till we get up there. That's what she said. Yeah, so benefit of shorter gearing, just a pleasant driving truck. Downside is that your bean counter, your accountant, your fleet manager, the person that pays the fuel bills is less happy with it. Then again, your driver will be happier with it. And if you have to get somewhere on a tight schedule, which, let's face it, if you're in trucking, that's probably half the time. It's beneficial. No one likes to drop down 9 gears to go up a hill. Of course, if you had a Mac with a 5-speed, that wouldn't happen. But anyway, all right. So it does make light work of a pretty light cargo, and I'm very appreciative of that. We'll navigate around here. Yep, Drake's car on the left, so I guess we're just moving some of their stock, and we've got to move it overnight, so maybe they sold the pickups? Yeah. Oh, all their Dodge Rams, and they've got broken transmissions and engines, and they've got to be fixed under warranty. That would be logical.
Go straight.
So either way, we've got to take them to this other Drake's. It's just up here, and we're pretty much there already. Not a short joke, but that felt like a really short trip. Okay.
Keep left, and then turn left.
Here we go. I'm getting a little bit of lag in the game, but it's probably not visible playing it. But it's not terrible. I'm trying to convince myself it's not terrible. Okay, Doug. Thanks, Doug. Don't feel like doing that. That's horrible. That looks way better. We'll go ahead and we'll run that. That looked an awful parking experience. I've tried that before, and it didn't. It wasn't my finest hour. And in the context of my parking maneuvers, that's saying something. Oops, brakes are real sensitive still. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and disconnect the trailer. So, I hope that you enjoyed today's trip. If I had to do an overview of the Western Star, I kind of feel like saying it's not as bad as you might think. But I don't really mean that. It was an enjoyable round. It was a very pleasant powertrain. I even liked the white. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.